Menopausal and perimenopausal women, listen up. It's time to take control of your health and comfort, and Winona is here to help. Winona is a telemedicine company for menopause care who believes that your symptoms are real, important, and deserve to be taken seriously. And for many women, this starts with hormone replacement therapy. Winona's HRT is made with plant-based, bioidentical hormones rather than synthetic ones, so it better aligns with your body to offer relief from hot flashes, weight gain, and other uncomfortable symptoms. 80% of women who use Winona find relief within just 90 days. So, what are you waiting for? Get started today. Visit buywinona.com today to start your free visit. With free shipping and the ability to pause or cancel at any time, your path to wellness has zero obligations. Use code SPRING24 at buywinona.com for 25% off your first treatment plan. That's BYWINONA.com for 25% off. Winona. Menopause care made easy. Summer is the season of hot temperatures, outdoor adventures, and refreshing water activities. Summer is also the season of rough on your feet, causing dry, cracked heels and toes. Introducing Babyfoot, the original exfoliation foot peel that contains 16 natural extracts formulated to remove dead skin cells in 3 easy steps. Apply the booties, relax for an hour, then wash your feet. In 14 days, you've got baby smooth skin and your feet have never been softer. Letting dead skin cells build up over time is hazardous to your foot health. Our professional-grade DIY products, like our original exfoliation foot peel, our men's foot peel, or our moisturizing mask, are some of the best foot care products on the market, created with your foot health in mind. Pamper yourself with a spa day from the comfort and convenience of your own home with Babyfoot. If you want a chemical-free, easy-to-use exfoliating process from the company that created the original foot peel, it's time to treat yourself to Babyfoot. Go to babyfoot.com and use the code SUMMERFEET24 and get 20% off your first order with Babyfoot. That's babyfoot.com and use the code SUMMERFEET24.
Hello and welcome to Too Stupid to Live, a podcast that reviews romance novels $5 and under. I'm your host, Becky Feldman, and today you are in for a treat. So as you may know, I live in Los Angeles, and my guest today also lives in Los Angeles. And while we didn't talk about what I am about to say in this episode, I feel like a lot of people who don't live in Los Angeles think that people who do live in Los Angeles, like, go to the beach all the time. Because the city is, like, literally, like, on a coastline. But I can safely say that it has been probably, like, 12 years since I've even seen the Pacific Ocean. Like, I am pretty sure there are people in Nebraska who have seen the ocean more than me, and I am, a few miles away from it. But this is all to say that today's book, with reading it, I have decided that I am going to consider my experience reading this book as a trip to the beach, because it takes place in Santa Monica, which is right along the water. There aren't any, prolonged scenes or anything at the beach, but you know what? Reading this book was probably the most amount of time that I have spent in Santa Monica in ages, and I didn't even leave my apartment, so basically this is a trip to the beach for me. The book we are reviewing today is Without a Net by Jill Blake, which is currently 99 cents. And I have an amazing guest today, Jeanne De Vita, who I feel like is a staple in the romance world, especially when it comes to aspiring romance writers. She is a writer, romance novel editor, and teacher, and is the founder of Romance Writing Academy, which, if you want to learn how to write and publish a romance novel, this is the place to go. The website is romancewritingacademy.com. Jeanne literally is a fountain of knowledge. And I feel like this episode barely scratches the surface of her expertise when it comes to romance novels. It is truly an enjoyable episode. So Jeanne obviously knows what is trending in romance, and if you're interested in reading a book that is capturing one of these new trends, I want to recommend a book to you brought to you by Kensington Publishing. Right now, historical romances are having edgier plots, and they're exploring new depths within the tropes that we all know and love. So if you want to explore historical romance some more, award-winning writer Minerva Spencer has a new book out called Outrageous. If you're a Minerva Spencer fan, you know that she writes modern feeling female characters who take control of their own lives despite the era that they live in. And Eva, the protagonist of Outrageous, takes it to a whole new level. You can find more information on the book, including where to purchase, at tstlpodcast.com. So, you know what is also outrageous is that the protagonist of the book we're reading today is also named Eva. So, don't be confused. We are reviewing Without a Net, and it is starting in 3, 2. Oh my God, Jeannie. Welcome.
Becky, I'm so happy to talk to you. Thank you for having me.
I have been wanting to get you on the show for like the longest time, and I'm so, so happy you're here.
I am too, and I'm really touched because I'm super opinionated about romance novels, and I actually do listen to your podcast and love
Oh.
your laugh and all your opinions about these books. So I'm excited to, we'll trade laughter as well as opinions, I'm sure.
Oh my gosh. Yes, yes. I'm going to like do like a bunch of like fake laughing like cuz you're the only one who's ever I've gotten in trouble for the sound of my laughing growing up. And so again, we've been feeding each other's egos even before we, you know, started recording. But okay. So, I am going to ask you, which I'm sure you have done this before, but like, can you give us the spiel about you and what you do, about your writing, about teaching, about Romance Writing Academy? Do you have the spiel?
Yes, it's not going to sound polished though. It's going to sound like I was asked that question for the first time ever right now. But yes, I can do it.
Great.
I am up for the task. So
Mhm.
you covered it. So mostly like three hats. I write, I edit, and I teach, which literally when I was like a little kid, if you asked me what I wanted to be when I grew up, it was those three things. Except I would have also said like I wanted to live on a farm and have a bunch of animals. So
Aw.
those last two things did not happen. However,
Mhm.
the rest of the dream, we're living it right now. So yeah, I teach. Well, I'll start with just like not to bore the pants off you. Like I was born in Illinois. No, I was like, I'm from the Midwest and got into publishing after grad school. Have always loved writing. My mom was that's like rewind way to the beginning, but my mom was a professional romance writer. Like she taught herself when I was growing up. So from the time I was probably like 7, my mom, I'm not kidding you, like we had romance novels everywhere. And to this day, like when my mom passed away a couple of years ago, I inherited her entire library, including the bookshelves. And so there's just like hundreds of books. Like I'm buried in books here. And it was great though, because when you're a kid, you don't really know anything about anything except you're like, oh, my mom, what is she doing? And I really was, like, so horrified because I would get these little, like, lessons about life from her related to what she was going through, all filtered through this dream that she had of publishing a romance, and so I have some very vivid memories that probably should have sent me into therapy, but instead, what happened is I just kind of followed in her footsteps. Mom published over 25 books in her career, mostly with Silhouette, and then later Silhouette was bought out by Harlequin, so she published with Harlequin then. And when she passed away, it was like she was really young and she got ill, and it was very unexpected when she did pass. But she had a ton of unpublished work, which was amazing. I've got all that of hers. Even though it wasn't published, I own it and I can read it and do whatever me and my sister would like to do with it. But the thing that was so crazy is seeing her learn how to do it was so formative for me growing up because, she would like bend open the books and earmark the pages. And she used to write with like erasable blue pen
Uh-huh.
on like yellow lined paper. And she would just take arduous, like comprehensive notes, like what happened, how she would write if she were, structuring her book. So kind of like the original DIY person. And she went through years and years of rejection. She typed stuff up and mailed it out and would get the one letter back rejecting or the postcard back. But when I was 12, she entered a contest and won first place. And as a result of that, was signed with a publishing house, ended up getting an agent, and her career kind of took off from there. But I, as a kid, also loved writing, reading. But I was definitely very much like, okay, romance is mom's thing. I'm going to go do my own cool thing over here, whatever that is. But after grad school, I really realized like you could actually do this as like a job, like editing, publishing, writing. And so fast forward to that's what really how I kind of got my start. After grad school, I got an MFA in creative writing and finished that program and thought, well, I'm the world's worst writer. So that part of it's not going to work for me. But I loved teaching in grad school and I loved editing. I worked on the literary journal that we had. So yeah, I ended up starting out in publishing, working with a small press back when small presses were kind of innovative startups. We only did ebooks, edited hundreds, no joke, hundreds of romance novels. And that was really my area of specialty to start. I did a little bit of everything, but romance novels are really kind of where I landed. And eventually, it took a minute, but then I decided, I really want to write one. I think I can do it. And when I moved to LA, I started teaching all over the place. Like I went to the Rip Bodice, which is where we met.
Yes.
Should we take a tangent and take a breath and talk about that magical day that we met? That was so happy for me.
I know it was, and it was one we met Tessa Dare, which was very exciting. But meeting you, and we were just like, it was very sweet because you just turned around and started talking, and I was so touched.
Well, I'm like one of those weirdo introverts that like normally I don't talk to strangers. I'm pretty much like, my mom when she was alive, she said that. She's like, I never worry about you. I do worry about your sister a bit, but like I never worry about you. Like you kind of know how to take care of yourself. But then when I'm in certain places, I am just like so like, okay, we're in the happiest place in the world, the Rip Bodice bookstore. Tessa Dare is like 20 feet from us signing books. Are you excited to be? And I just had to talk to people. So it was so great because
Yeah. It made me feel good because I love being in the Rip Bodice. I love being around romance readers, but there is this like, I don't want to say anxiety because that sounds too negative, but it's just like this, like all of this excitement, I guess, of just like, oh, I'm here. And are these romance readers better readers than me? Like, it's like, do you ever get that or am I crazy?
no, 100% I do. Even being, on the editing side, because the market is so huge and there's so many phenomenal authors out there. And if somebody's like, oh, have you read so and so? I love this series. And I'm like, no, it's like it's almost like where do you fit in? Like it's so big. You could miss a really cool part of the market if you've never read so and so author. But it's also part of what's fun. So like talking to people and figuring out like, I mean, isn't that how you learn about what to read next? It's like from your reading friends. I mean, I don't know. I just love when like I think the day that we met, I was actually with one of my writing friends, and she is a librarian, but she is literally also mentally a librarian. Like she tells me, have you read this yet? You should really check. And I swear, like that's how I find so many good writers that are new to me. So we met at the Rip Bodice. I was doing back in the days when we could actually be in a room with strangers.
Remember
I know.
that?
I have fond memories. I still have a chalkboard somewhere in their upstairs closet because I had a dream that I'd go back there someday, although who knows when that will be. But so yeah, I taught at the Rip Bodice when they were open, and when the pandemic happened, we transitioned to doing something that was more online. And so I started sort of my own platform for online courses, teaching, doing events so that romance readers and aspiring writers can connect with pros, and just everybody loves the romance community. I feel like if you're in it, if you're part of it, you're a reader, you're a writer. And the romance authors are, I mean, this goes back even when my mom was doing it, like the most generous, caring authors, and they want to help other people who are early on in their career figure their way through. So we've done some amazing, wonderful events, and we offer courses and of course services. Like if you want to hire an editor, we can help you with that kind of thing. But I also teach at UCLA Extension in their writing program, which is awesome because I get to do some things that are just different. Like when you're doing something attached to an academic institution, there's like an actual syllabus and grades that people get. So that's a little bit different approach. But I teach romance writing, story structure, copy editing, even kind of the painful stuff over there, which is great. And then And literally, is this an entire podcast just about what I do for work? Because there's more.
It's
Becky,
fascinating. It's like I'm in like this daze of just like listening to all that you do in your beautiful sultry voice. Like this is and also no, because I do have a lot of aspiring writers as listeners, so I think this is also really awesome as well for them.
Okay, phew. All right. Well, we'll button it up, and then I will close by telling you there's so much that I do, and the list of what I don't do is even longer. Like, let's not talk about, chores. How often I literally am so glad we're audio only because like I literally swear I look like my all-time favorite sort of it's sort of older now, but hey, please tell me Romancing the Stone if I tell you that.
Yeah.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah.
Of course
I
I do.
like to think of myself as Joan Wilder, Act 1, and it never gets any better. Like I never that's where it's at. But anyway, so then I also do write, and I've written quite a bit. I'll say as a ghostwriter, but I've mostly also been like a staff writer. So I wrote for Radish for 2 years on one of their original series. So you wouldn't see my name because they own the story, the content. But, it's like being in a writer's room with fiction as opposed to TV or film. And then I have published romance for some other folks, as a ghostwriter, which I know can break people's hearts to hear, but it's really okay. I promise it's okay because the people that I've worked with are people I know really well, and they kind of take what I give them in their character's world or universe and really make it their own. But at least they've got a nice solid head start with. It's a lot if you want to be an indie and publish a book every 6 weeks or 2 books a quarter, whatever your indie schedule is. It can be really fun to be completely in control of your career, but it's also a heck of a lot of word count to keep up with. So I do that, and then just as of this recording date that we're chatting, I launched a new project that is not romance related. It is literally the polar opposite. It's like a zombie apocalypse series set in Los Angeles on the new Amazon platform called Kindle Vella. And that has been nightmarish in the best ways. I mean, like the best possible ways, because I just love zombies so much. I love LA so much. And there you have it.
Oh my God, I love it. I love romance, zombies.
And then everyone dies.
Yeah.
Oh, I know. It's literally the 2 parts of my personality: love and sunshine, and then murderous rage. There you go.
Yeah, I love it because, like, I feel like another thing is that I love romance, but I'm also, like, in reality, like, a cynical person, And so it's like you have both sides, Like, I love it. I love it.
Oh, you're so sweet. Well, I also really love to do like this is something I did when I was younger. Like, did you rediscover old hobbies like during the pandemic? Like, I used to play video games when I was young and cool. Now I'm old and uncool, but I started playing video games again. And just like the pace of it when you're really locked into the story and like action, and all of the backstory matters, but it's not what you're focused on, which I think is, if you're trying to teach yourself how to write and you're always kind of in that zone, you can learn how to write from everything around you. There you go. Words of wisdom, and mic out. Goodbye.
This is such a weird question, but you've edited so many different books. Have you ever come across like a zombie romance, but not between zombies? Like it's a romance, but there's the zombie apocalypse like happening?
Okay, so I know they exist, but I honestly haven't read any because I almost feel like that would be like taking your 2 favorite foods and mixing them and you just ruin it.
I get that. Yeah.
Like, so it's out there, and I know some really phenomenally talented authors have done it. So I should put that on my list. Like, okay, now if I'm really going to have these 2 hats, I've got to put them together and just see what happens.
Yeah, I totally get that. It's like chocolate pasta or something. I like that analogy.
You know what though, Becky, that did it for me. I like that. I'm sold. Let's do it.
Because like it's weird. I started reading it wasn't apocalypse. It was like about, like the books where it's like about to be the apocalypse.
Yes.
And like shit's happening. and they're having sex, and it kind of stresses me out because I'm like, oh my God, what if like something really, like what if the zombies are out now but they're with each other? You know what I mean? Like my brain, it's like because the two different genres, my brain gets stressed.
100%. I think that's why, like, I mean, in the zombie thing that I'm doing right now, there are relationships and there is one central love story that will develop over like a very, very long time.
Mhm.
But it's not front and center, and it's definitely not even what you would call necessarily a romance, but
Mhm.
it's impossible to get away from it. Like, this is survival and human relationships. And as long as my people can like wash their hands and find a mint somewhere, we'll fit a little romance in there somehow.
Of course, like that's what I like to think.
There
Yeah.
you go. The world is burning down, but hey, if we've
Yes.
got some handy wipes, we can hold hands.
Oh my God, I love it. So okay, y- when you put together, like, what was it like putting together for the Romance Writing Academy? Like, what was it like putting together like the different classes? Like, how did you determine like this was a class, this was a class, like this is next level, this is next level?
Oh, wow, that's such a good question because honestly, I'll tell you, I asked people. I asked
Mm.
clients, I asked students, because it was actually, Leah who owns the Rip Bodice who told me first, after one of the classes I did in the store, she was like, "You should maybe, like, write a craft book, like, people say good things about the course," and I'm like, "Well, I feel like because I've been a writer and wanted to write and have dipped a toe in it even with, a level of, like, some early lack of confidence that, like, I know applying the concepts can be really hard. So I try to not just say the stuff that you can Google and find for
Mhm.
free and be like, yes, we know there's conflict, but like to show you, like, as an editor, when I look at a scene or a chapter or a book in total, this is how you know that conflict is actually playing it on the page in a very solid, compelling way, or it could be sharp or whatever. So initially, I literally thought, like, well, I couldn't fill a craft book or I couldn't teach more than one course. But then once I sat down to kind of go through, like, I'm not kidding, like every question any student had emailed me, had saved, or like put in it to like a course evaluation. I saved all that stuff and went through them all. And I was like, holy smokes, like there's a lot.
Mhm.
And so it was definitely trial and error. I started out by doing one massive course that was kind of the A to Z. What should a really well-crafted meet cute do? What are the essential building blocks? And even just like this is a super random thing, but I never learned novel structure in grad school ever.
Mhm.
Like I have an MFA in fiction, never learned novel structure. They were just like, go do you. And that's what we did.
Mhm.
In fact, I didn't even write a novel as my thesis. I wrote a collection of short stories. So there you go.
Mhm. Love it.
But I know, but in editing, like that's something that maybe in a sense you kind of learn yourself or teach yourself, not learn yourself, but like you learn on your own by doing it. Because I was finding with every client that I edited, they wanted to understand the edits more than just to be, cleaned up for commas or clean. Like, why doesn't this work? Explain to me what I should do to make it better. And having the vocabulary around that took me a long time to develop. So by the time I was actually thinking I could teach people this stuff, I did have like questions and answers and practical things where somebody could just show up and be like, okay, I'm writing a book about this and why isn't it working? And you can answer those questions after a time. I think a lot of really experienced editors can do that. So for Romance Academy, I started with one big course and tried to put everything in there. And then a lot of people were saying, there's so much more that I want to know. And you could break this up into smaller courses that go deeper into it. And so, yeah, you just kind of take the whole universe of craft topics, like anything you've ever heard about. Like you could do a whole course on character beats because we all know the term, but do we really know how to do it on the
Mhm.
page and what it looks like when one happens, you know?
Mhm. Mhm.
So I don't know if that's a clear answer. It's kind of I didn't know for sure how I was going to design courses until I actually just sat down and said, day one, if somebody wanted to start, what would I tell them to do?
Mhm.
And I also kind of started from the most common mistakes and thought this is this is like the client who I would want to grab before they've published 4 books on their own. Like they've self-published 4 books that don't work. Because I get that all the time. People will email me and say, I've self-published 8 books on Amazon and I've got 3 reviews each and they're not selling and I don't know what to do. And selling and, writing a well-crafted book are not 2 separate things. You can have a terrible book that sells well, you can have a great book that sells terribly, but obviously you want to align both those things if you're going to hopefully put money into marketing and selling that book. So I started with those mistakes too, like the classic stuff that I would see in client work and say, this could be better, this could be stronger, or in some cases, this will absolutely keep you out of the traditional market. Like, I don't know every publisher, but I can tell you with a high degree of comfort, there are certain things Harlequin's never going to really like. You don't want to have your characters meet on page 50 for the very first time. That's like a misconception. So we start, with those kind of misconceptions or mistakes people make and build those right front and center into sort of the core curriculum of what romance writers should know.
So aside from meeting for the first time on page 50, like what are some other kind of mistakes or obstacles that you have seen again and again that writers are like running into?
Yes. Okay. So I love this. This, I think, is not even just my list. I think that you'll find that reviewers and even just readers who maybe don't have the same vocabulary, we intuitively know so much about storytelling that, okay, what I see and the way I'll articulate it is probably what a lot of readers don't like also, and maybe just don't realize they don't like it. So the number one thing definitely that romance writers do to kind of muck up their book, way too much setup before the characters get together on the page. Like, we are there for the love story. You need to try to put that meet cute as early as possible. Page 1 is not too soon. For some books, it might be like you might need a little bit, setting the stage, especially in the subgenres that are more complex, like paranormal, historical. That's okay. Too much setup is a killer. A meet cute that isn't what I would call productive. There are so many meet cutes that are sort of the standard tripped over a dog leash, bumped into each other in an elevator, like those kind of oops things that it happens in real life, but like it's not as satisfying as when you really put the time in to give us like what is a super awesome story of how 2 people met. Like that's what we want. And so if that meet cute ties into especially the characters' issues, like somebody feels like crap and this happened and that happened, and then all of a sudden when they're at their lowest point, their nemesis appears. Like that's just more dramatic and fun. And one of the things that I think people forget in writing romance is that it's not actually all about the love story. Like the love story is that satisfying, amazing thing that happens while these characters are on the way to doing all these other important things that they need to do. And yes, believe me, the love story is what we're all there for. It is the most important thing. But from a craft perspective, if you're focused on that, you'll kind of forget all the other stuff that you really need to be doing. So, like the third thing I would say that aspiring writers do that kind of slows their book down or sometimes even just leads to writer's block because just not enough can happen is having sort of that very linear story trajectory where like they meet, they get together, maybe people aren't sure they're going to get together, but then they do. Like if you don't have that really complicated, like my favorite romances are when characters fill that missing spot in each other's heart. Like I see the wound in you and you see the wound in me and together we make a whole. Like that's really productive and satisfying for me. But if you just kind of tell the story of like, yeah, these 2 people who are kind of perfect and interesting in their own ways bump into each other and fall in love, that just isn't as satisfying. It can still be a great story and, very well read and, purchased multiple times as a one click. But I think an overly linear story, not enough dramatic stakes, not enough conflict. Those are probably the top 3 bummers. And then maybe just drilling down on one other little detail is in the individual pages to have just way too much narrative. Like you really want to have those active scenes where people are talking to each other and fighting and thinking things. Like if you just write for 3 pages about interior thoughts or explaining backstory, really and truly what I've learned, especially writing like for Radish and stuff, people are there for the action. Move that story along because you can fit in all the backstory that's in your head. Just kind of like put it in your pocket and keep on going,
Yeah, so pacing, it seems like, is feels like it's a major, very important part of like crafting a novel.
Yes, definitely.
I have to ask, and this is going to sound like I'm not a romance reader asking you this question, but I am a romance reader asking you this question. What's it like teaching about and talking about writing sex scenes and like intimate scenes?
Oh my God, I'm so glad that you asked that because, okay, I have learned this the hard way. So please know that I have experienced every embarrassing scenario I think that can be experienced pretty much. So every time I teach anyone, whether it's a small class, a live class, UCLA, whatever, I have to put acceptable content guidelines in place because there are things that are taboo but acceptable. There are things that are illegal and unacceptable. And there are things that are just like banana pants wild and people love it and it's still crazy. And then there's also, just sex. So
Yeah.
somewhere along that continuum, almost everything falls. And the hard stuff for me is when I see authors who really don't understand the boundaries of like, consent doesn't have to be boring and it doesn't have to be in your face, but there's a big difference between consent and something that's really going to be triggering and uncomfortable for a lot of readers. So I think if you kind of go through the hierarchy of, okay, what should a good sex scene do? It should have emotion somewhere because people are still people, even if they're focused on what their bodies are doing. They're having thoughts, they're smelling smells, they're doing all that. It should mean something emotionally in that moment in the book. Even erotica, like erotica really flies because the sex is a critical component of the relationship or that story arc. It could also be really just titillating and fun to read and just what you're there for. But I think like drawing some good boundaries for people so they're like, let's avoid this stuff, let's focus on this stuff. And then after that, I might not be the best at it, but I've seen a lot of different students of all genders, orientations, beliefs, and that's when it gets exciting. That's the spicy part of it. It really is. But you'd be surprised because most people are so uncomfortable and shy about sharing. Like even just like a first kiss, like that's one of the assignments I love to teach is just write a first kiss. And, I give different prompts, like make sure that this emotion is present because sometimes throwing a new emotional layer in there really gives you a different way of thinking about the words. You're not just focused on where are the lips, where are the hands, If you're thinking about the emotions, you're not quite as obsessed with physically what's happening, which can be good. But yeah, it's that is a great question. And teaching it is, sometimes I feel like we need to have like experts in our pocket, like sex therapists and psychologists. And I am none of those things. So hopefully no one's had to go to therapy after taking one of my classes.
I doubt it. That's actually so fascinating because I feel like what consent is, it has been changing, over the years, and sometimes reading books that were published years ago that are fan favorites. You read them and you're like, oh, whoa, that doesn't seem consensual in the year 2021,
Oh, yes. I mean, everything pretty much that I read off my mom's bookshelves growing up are probably things that now I would burn before I would let my sister's kids see. I mean, but in a way that's good because it just means our society is changing and people are becoming more aware of what's possible. Like you can still have great intimate scenes and great, even in real life, like you can have great conversations and great experiences, and it doesn't have to be like textbook boring, like let's pull out a script and make sure we're checking these boxes.
Right. Do people ever ask you, what the difference is between romance and erotica is?
Mm-hmm.
And like
Definitely.
how do you respond to that? Because I never know how to respond to that.
I mean, my opinion and experience is it's really the mechanics of the story. So erotica is generally intended primarily short form,
Mhm,
intended to just be a short, satisfying, highly sensual or sexy read.
mhm,
Whereas romance is focused on the bigger picture of those characters' journeys and how they change. So, like, yeah, there can be super spicy hot sex and crazy wonky dunk stuff, but at the end of a romance novel that, in my opinion, is really successful, those characters have grown and changed because of meeting someone who helped them to see their trauma in a different way, or
mhm,
meeting, someone who allowed them to accomplish a goal they couldn't have without the other person.
mhm.
If you have those same kind of things, but the connection between the character is physical first, like I feel complete and whole in my life because I've got this sexual outlet with you, that's more erotic in erotica,
Okay.
you
Mhm,
know?
mhm,
So I think if you think of romance as not just two characters coming together, but more the journey of people accomplishing goals and changing
mhm,
all in this wonderful lovey-dovey package, it makes it a little easier to be like, oh yeah, okay, so erotica is much more focused on the physical
mhm,
mechanics of the characters as opposed to the internal growth.
mhm. Yeah. And I mean, I feel like I've read books where it's kind of in between romance and erotica, you know? Like it's erotica, but the characters do grow. I'm basically talking about a reverse harem story, I guess, but
But those are like the best because they're
yeah.
complex and multi-layered and they give you like literally the best of all parts of the genres. And that's
Mhm.
like the best kind of mashup to have. We have so much flexibility now with digital publishing and online stuff that we can write stuff that doesn't just neatly fit on one label, or
Right.
with one category. So
Mhm.
that's probably like really good stuff. You should give me a reading list after after we
Yeah. It has number 5 in it, I think, like they all do. I guess it's that they don't reverse harem I know probably is a bad term for it. I guess it's polyandry now just because of like political correctness, I guess. Um, you know what I mean?
Please keep talking. I want to hear more.
Yeah.
Yes.
I feel like okay, so I'm on Twitter. Obviously, I'm on Twitter. I'm a person. But there was a while where we're looking at different phrases used in romance, whether, it's consent, saying things like he assaulted her lips, things
Yeah.
like, reverse harem, because, harems, unreversed harem is, very misogynistic and anti-female and all that stuff. So saying reverse harem can also have like triggering effects. I guess there's been this talk about trigger warnings in romance, of like, what do you say? Like, is this a trigger warning? Should I say this or should I not? Are people being too sensitive? Are they not?
Exactly. Totally, I mean, I probably err on the side of the most cautious
Mm-hmm.
person because of my editorial brain.
Mm-hmm.
But I feel like trigger warnings and content warnings are just a courtesy. It's just like
Yeah.
an author's note, like if I'm writing stuff, and I've taken that stuff much more seriously, even in my own writing, where when I was younger, using situations of trauma or abusive, backgrounds can give such depth and motivation to characters, but how much of that is relevant to the present story I'm trying to tell? And how
Yeah.
much of that, you know what I mean? Does the
Mm-hmm.
reader need to see it or does the reader need to be aware of it and understand in its context? And so,
Right.
I think a simple, like, I love the example, like, he assaulted her lips. Like, that one is one of my huge, huge pet peeves because I feel like that's a perfect example of a writer who just is relying on words that they've seen and don't really see the words that they're using.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
And if it is a choice, all the power to you, go for it. There's a reader group who really connects with that kind of phrasing and that tone in a scene. And then there's someone like me who I would see that word and I'd be like, well, I'd really rather it be a little bit different word, like a word that has less negative connotation and more
Mm-hmm.
something else given this scene.
Mm-hmm.
but you
Yeah.
can't please everybody. And as a writer, you've got to decide your brand. But these are the kind of things that when you sit down and think, I'm going to be a romance writer, like you want to be at least thinking about, be aware of it so you can make intentional choices, not just stumble over stuff because you aren't thinking about it.
Yeah. Because there is, I mean, like to say the, least that, there's so many romance readers, and there's also like factions of romance readers who, like have differing opinions, even though we're all friendly and nice, of content warnings, phrasing, what makes a happily ever after, what doesn't make a happily ever after, and it's interesting to see.
I think so. And I think that's also what makes romance such a great community, because none of us experience love or intimacy the same way,
Right. Mm-hmm.
And so you may have people who are introverts that want one kind of story, and you may have people that are some other way that can. So that's why it's so awesome. I mean, the market is so huge, and there's so much out there that if you don't like someone assaulting someone else's lips, there's about 10 million other books for you to check out.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I want to transition to this book today, and it's actually so funny that this is the book we're reviewing, because I originally chose this book because I was like, I want to read a book that takes place in Los Angeles, and I want to talk to someone who lives in Los Angeles and see how close it is to what it's like in Los Angeles. But this book ended up being about indie publishing, and I was like, oh, this is even better.
I know. When I was reading it too, there were so many things that came up that I was like, oh my gosh, this person has been in publishing for a really long time.
Yeah.
and, and she has got thoughts.
Totally. I'm so excited to hear your thoughts. So the book we are reviewing is Without a Net by Jill Blake. It is currently 99 cents, and it is book 1 of the Santa Monica trilogy. I'm going to read a quick synopsis. Okay. Amidst the breezy atmosphere of Santa Monica, California, love blossoms whether the caring and strong Eva is ready for it or not. After she begins rebuilding her life following the betrayal and death of her husband, she didn't expect Max, a sexy doctor/thriller author, to come into her life. And unlike Max's past short-term relationships, he knows that Eva is the one. But is Eva ready to join him on the promenade to love?
You did that. You are so beautiful. Can you read every synopsis of every book? That was so flawless.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Take your bow. You're getting applause. It's not in the microphone, but I'm doing it.
Yeah. Oh my God. I love it. Okay. So when we were talking earlier, I kept going back to this book and thinking, okay, does this check all the boxes for Jeannie? Like, do you know what I mean? Like, I'm like, oh, like, is the structure there? Is the emotion there? And I know this is kind of like we're getting general reviewing here, but that's just like what first came to my mind of like, what did she think about Without a Net as a whole?
Oh my gosh, you're going to make me go first. What if I say all these things? Okay, I will tell you what I thought unvarnished if you're comfortable with that.
I'm scared to go first.
Okay. We will not flip a coin. I will. You are the host, so you can completely defer to me. Put me on the spot. That's all good. So, yes, first of all, I'll just say this because the writer is clearly a really talented writer. Like, there's so much that's good here. It's really, really clean. By clean, I mean like well written. I would never have gone back with my editorial red pen and been like, I can't handle this writer. From just taking off editor teacher hat and going to romance reader, which is really, really hard to separate nowadays. Like, there's a lot that I would have loved to see done differently in the book, but only because the author had such rich, complicated material with these characters. Like, these characters were great, Eva and Max. But then, like, we got one chapter that was literally her talking with her doctor about the symptoms of STDs, which she never had, and it never like went anywhere. And you're like, okay, so we're in a romance novel. We know at some point this stuff is going to be relevant, but did we need a chapter? Maybe we needed like a sentence to say, this level of detail was maybe too much. And so, yeah, like there's a lot I would have loved to see pushed farther and also connected more tightly. Like Max was this kind of larger than life philandering doctor who's into extreme sports and also is a brilliant writer. God bless the author for putting together the world's most perfect guy. Amazing. But he also had some stuff there that was really like when you finally get to the point in the book, which comes very, very late, like in Act 3, almost toward the end, when you hear from his sister, like, okay, why is this guy like this? And where is the real depth and humanity in him, which we love in our romance characters, we never saw it from him on the page. We never really saw him engaging with Eva in a way that revealed that stuff. It was just like a quick chapter where his sister is like, well, just so you know, this is the kind of guy that he is and was, and give him more, give him more credit than what you're giving him, which it's just not as like, it doesn't get you in the gut as much as it is if you actually see Max like struggling with those issues and coming to that realization with the female main character.
Yeah, I completely agree. I felt like that scene came way too late in the book because at that point, Max is great. He's smart. He's a great writer. He wasn't my favorite book boyfriends out of all of the book boyfriends I've read. And I wanted, like, he has this great empathy for his sister when she talks about, like, him being there for her. And it was like, there were so many opportunities to show that side of him with Eva because she's going through so much. She's dealing with betrayal. She's dealing with loss. She's dealing with financial issues. He could have like showed that side of him through all of those like horrible things that she's going through because she's going through a lot.
Well, and Becky, didn't it drive you bananas that like, so Max is a doctor and Eva has this sort of like cold-hearted surgeon dad, or he may not have been a surgeon. I may be misremembering that Max is the surgeon, but it like never came up where she never like drew the parallel that, okay, my dad was this horrible guy who abandoned his family, and Max is going to be this horrible guy who's going to abandon me. And I kind of just felt like it was so like I could just reach out and almost touch it, but it never quite got there.
Yeah.
And
Absolutely. It felt like there were so like even with honestly the STD scene, I got excited for that scene because I was like, oh, this is really interesting. Is she going to get an STD? This is fascinating. STDs are prevalent. People get them. Is this fascinating to bring it up in a romance novel? And I kind of got excited for it. But then it, disappeared. And it was more about like her wondering if she should get on birth control or not. And so, yeah.
I know. And it was so clinical rather than like the scene. It's early enough in the book that we just are learning why she's so concerned about them and the history with her husband as he was dying. And so, like, not to give away any spoilers, but like that could have been so emotional. And instead it was, I mean, like I would have been crying and confused or, asking questions, or even if you're being really stoic, like it was just a very clinical scene. And that's, like you said, it's super important and interesting stuff. And it was so close, but not quite as much as I would have liked it to be.
Totally. Yeah. So what did you think of the character of Eva, especially given that she is helping as both as like a character, but also as a marketer for an indie publisher, doing everything for Max? What did you think of her?
Well, I will say that the author is probably in real life a complete genius because there's so much intense detail about legal issues and medicine and marketing. And like, so clearly it was a very intelligent and interesting read in that respect. But Eva is she doesn't change. Like, she doesn't grow as a result of it. Like, she's this widow with this son and these very sort of entrenched beliefs about what she needs to do with her life to move forward. And like this massive fraud that her husband was involved in kind of just sorts itself out on the in the back, in the backside. Like, we never really have to see her struggle with it. It's just like, well, I have to sell my house, and it's sold for over asking the next day in cash. Happy for her, but and then the marketing stuff, like, I think as much as she was factually correct, and like anybody who's actually in publishing now would read that and be like, oh yeah, this is what it's like. She knows her stuff. But to see Eva struggle to learn that, because literally she's like day one back in the working world. She's been this stay-at-home mom while she let Roger defraud people and spend their money and make money and look like they are the people who do belong in Santa Monica. But so I liked her and thought she had a lot of potential, but she, even just her small decisions, like around Max and her resistance, and then all of a sudden things kind of change. I wanted her to have much more emotion on the page so that we saw her struggle, grow, change. And then when she ends up with this amazing career and this amazing future, we feel like, yes, you deserved it. I'm so happy you finally got it,
Yeah, absolutely. Because I feel like I had a hard time buying that she actually liked Matt. Like, he's great in bed. He's very hot. He wrote a great book. But I feel like his great book is the reason why she loves him. And it's like, I needed moments of just like sweetness between the two of them. Like a happy moment where like Eva wasn't annoyed, wasn't scared. They talk about it. They had a nice day at Griffith Park or whatever. But I felt like I needed to like see it.
Exactly. Like, when you talk about your book boyfriend, like the most memorable romance novels that I read, literally just for fun for me, are the ones where I will think of a scene and it'll just make me smile or make me happy, even if I don't have time to open the book and go back to those pages,
Yeah.
And I wanted some more of those moments with Eva, especially, Max came so close to being like the cool uncle and doing all this cool stuff, but it just never quite was as emotionally fulfilling as it could have been, I think.
Yeah. Did you find Max to be a little too pushy as a person?
Yes. Like, I would not have liked him even long after Eva did.
Yeah. He seemed like, I'm sure he's a great guy. He saves lives. He's very fit, wrote a great book. It just felt like Eva was just annoyed with him, just like, because he's just like all in. Like, the second time they have sex, he was like, we're having a baby together. And it was like, what? Like, so fast.
I know, in his Ferrari convertible, like, and maybe, Becky, we might just be showing, our true colors here. Like, I am not a wealthy Santa Monica lady, so maybe, I would expect an ER doctor to show up with a convertible and a best-selling novel in his back pocket. But
Yeah.
but yeah, he was, like, especially that one time when like the kid, she had Connor, his nephew, over, and her son, and she kind of kicked him out, like, you've overstepped by trying to communicate with my son about these plans, right? They were thinking about stuff the boys could do together, and Max was like, yeah, you can come with me and Connor to Travel Town or whatever it was. And yeah, she was like, okay, you need to go.
Yeah.
And he didn't leave. You're like, oh, dude.
That I was like, oh my God. That, like, if I were Eva, I would have been so mad. Like, but she lets him go. They end up going to Travel Town. And I was like, what is it about Eva that was like, what was that voice inside of her that was like, okay, maybe it is a good idea? Because it just felt like, when I'm picturing their Travel Town day, I'm just like picturing her being very uncomfortable the whole time.
She's like creating graphics for his social media in her head, like, okay, here we go.
And there was one moment in the end. I mean, I'm just going to say, we all know how romance novels end, but they're at their happily ever after, and she has decided to go on the birth control pill, and they've professed their love for each other And he was just like, and you're going off the pill. And I cringed. I cringed.
I know, because that's one thing that, like, not to, again, all respect to this author. She's multi-pubbed. She's a good writer. Like, I think, I'm sure I would read more books from her because, every book is new. It's a new baby, but yeah, like, literally, it's sort of that we don't have that same extreme fantasy anymore of like what a happy ending should be. It isn't for me the way that book ended. It doesn't have to look like that. You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
Mm-hmm,
It would have
mm-hmm.
been more satisfying for them to just be together because they had enough to overcome just to be together without it being like, and we're getting married and you're going off the pill and you're breaking the lease on your new apartment.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's like, well, and he says that all in the span of like a minute, and like,
Yeah.
and like, I love the idea. Like, I think naturally, I'm like, I love the idea of things are looking up. I'm gonna do this, and I'm gonna do that. Like, things are great, but like, it was all the way he was like telling her what to do, even if she wants to do those things. It was the fact that he was telling her what to do that like maybe I think maybe it's just like me of him telling her what to do with her body that just like like it, and I know that wasn't the author's intention. I know it's supposed to be romantic, but it just like set me off when I read when I read it.
Becky, we need to consult with some doctors. Maybe that's how they are in relationships. They're like, I'm going to tell you what you need to do. It's all going to
Mm-hmm.
be okay. Just listen to me. That's probably how I am when I'm talking with my friends about books and stuff. I'm like, you just listen. Just listen. This is what you
Well,
need to.
yeah. I mean, doctors are like that when they're with patients, of course. You know, I would hope so. Like, if
No,
you're
right?
ready, we'll.
But maybe not quite the same thing when you're
Mm-hmm.
with your brand new girlfriend of like 2, 3 months.
Yeah. Who just lost her husband, who's just still like still dealing with like the worst betrayal. And then he's like, "Ah, you're over him."
I know. Because isn't that such a super sad reality? Like when people go, like they do leave these unfinished messes. And like I loved the fact that he, like, nothing is worse than a tarnished memory of someone who goes young.
Mhm.
And so, like, her husband, I was like, this could be really cool. Like seeing her struggle with like the memories of the love and then
Mhm.
the new information that like obliterated that, reality.
Yes.
Like
Mhm.
that's some crazy stuff and good stuff. Like I would be totally there for that romance, but I think it
Mhm.
was, you know, a little light on the drama. Maybe I just love drama. Am I highly dramatic, Becky? I don't know.
Yeah. I no, I get it cuz I feel like this book was like ripe for a ton of drama. Like it was, especially with like I keep thinking about like the show 6 Feet Under, where like someone betrays his wife and then passes away, and just what you're left with. It's
Yeah,
not just a breakup, you know what I mean? And like it just felt like she still it felt like there could have been a lot of drama with seeing her try to being more proactive as a character, picking up these pieces and putting everything together and trying to fix everything that she didn't do and deal with grief. Because her grief is very nuanced. She's grieving her husband, who she did love, but who also betrayed her. Like that to me is like a story in itself, of like how to kind of rectify these feelings of being betrayed and also grief.
absolutely. And you know what's amazing? Like you bring up a super great point because even just like selling the house, like all of those things are like deep, deep touchstones for change in a
Mm-hmm.
character. And
Mm-hmm.
for any of it to happen too easily or too lightly, it's like you just miss opportunities that your reader, like that story where Eva was, you know, crying in the complexity and packing boxes or even thinking about it, like none of that was there.
Mm-hmm. Right. Totally. Yeah. And it kind of because that's what I was imagining. The book says it's hard, so I believe it's hard, and then it just feels like Max, as great as he is undermining it a little bit because he's like, "I'm here now. Don't worry, babe." Like,
Exactly. Exactly. That was Eva's perfect whole. She needed that to be the other half
hmm
of her, maybe.
Yeah, I get that, because I feel like, she did seem like a person who has trouble with change, and everything changed against her will. And then here's Max, who's like, change, yeah, nice. Like, I got in an accident, I'm gonna write a book. Like, just like totally like, kind of can roll with the punches.
It's such a high energy guy too. Like if you
Mhm.
had like that accident, like he's out there shopping, he's taking his nephew places. I'd be like writing a novel, like it's just a thing I fit in while I was recovering from this horrible injury.
Yeah, and not only that, but like it was a good novel. It's his first novel
I
and it's good.
know. I don't want to be a naysayer. Your first novel could be great. It could be
I
great.
know.
Absolutely.
I know. I think maybe it's kind of like the creative in me. Like I live out here, and if someone was just like, oh, like just like who just moved here, I've been out here for 14 years, like trying to, be successful, and someone moves out here and the next day they write an Oscar-winning screenplay. I'm just like, oh man, that's so unfair. And I think I felt that way about Max, even though he was a fictional character.
I can respect that kind of jealousy. I truly can. Max had it way too easy.
Yeah. It's interesting because I do think like with injuries can also kind of send you down like an emotional spiral. And I thought maybe that could have been there with Max, and that's why he was like, oh, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that, because he was like trying to like run away from the depression of like, you have to stay put and you can't work and you can't be on your feet. Like that seems like such a hard thing to do in real life.
Well, and it's a chance for someone to show their vulnerability. Like he would only take ibuprofen, right? At some point. And like that means something, but it messed up his stomach. And then he had that one scene where he was limping because he pushed himself to walk too far. And so like it could have been really great to see Max like need to lean on her in some ways, as opposed to being kind of that consistent one note, like, I'm the elf, I'm the man. I can't even do the voice. I can't even do the I'm the man voice. You can fill it in for me though. You know what it sounds like.
I'm the man. I don't know. I can't do it either. It's just low. So what did you think of the sex scenes in the book?
Well, honestly, those I thought were good. They were just like fine. It was just that emotional piece where I was like, man, I just feel like this is something Eva's doing because he's there and he's hot. It wasn't like my favorite type of sex scenes.
Yeah, they felt a little too quick for me, and they felt too for me. And I know that some people like this, but it felt too much like a summary and not like a play by play.
Yeah. Becky's like, could we give me 50 more pages? I really need to know.
Yeah.
I need the detail.
I need the details. Because, like, okay, yes, because, like, if he's, like, a giving lover, that says a lot, And if you see her, like, kind of, like, giving into, not giving into it, that's not the right word, but just, like, opening herself up and finding new things that she likes, just more detail. I mean, even then, I'd be like, oh, okay, these two are made for each other.
Exactly. Yes, you'd have that moment where you're like, I'm sorry you had this philandering, dead husband, but you're in the right place now.
Yeah. And it's like, we didn't get that. It was just like, oh, he ravished her. And then they had like a good sex. And then it was like the next thing where they're talking about marketing.
Exactly. She made coffee. They start talking about marketing and they're back to work.
Yeah, exactly. And it was like, oh, where's the pillow talk? Like, there wasn't enough pillow talk. I do love pillow talk.
Oh gosh, who doesn't? Who doesn't?
Yeah. I wish there could have been more pillow talk. But overall, I did like it. I felt for Eva. Again, Max wasn't my favorite, but I think I have a feeling post this book that he's probably toning it down. I believe that he is, to be on Eva's pace of moving on.
Absolutely. And she's going to have an amazing career. She's probably going to write the next book in the series, and he's just going to be able to go back to being a full-time doctor. No, I think you're right. Like, I honestly would read other books by this author, even though this isn't like a overflowing 20-star review, because I think she's a good writer, and I think all the stories are interesting. And sometimes it's almost more satisfying to know that, like, okay, this one didn't fully land, but she was so close, and I'm sure, she's got an amazing backlist.
Mm-hmm.
Now I'm going to go mine all of them because I really want that. The pillow talk. We're looking for pillow talk and traumatized characters.
Yeah. Do you
Can you give me those
Yeah.
two things? Are those
Yeah.
categories?
It's like, that's all I care about is their pillow talk and is their trauma. That's all I need.
Exactly. We're renaming the podcast, by the way.
Yeah. That's actually a really good idea.
No, don't do it.
I
Too
know.
Stupid to Live is my favorite. You nailed it. That is the absolute best phrase,
Oh my
and
gosh.
so
Thank you.
appropriate for our favorite genre.
Thank you so much. I want to ask you, when you read series, do you ever find that the second book is better than the first book? Is that like a common thing?
Yes. I honestly, and you know what? It's like the same exact reason why sometimes the pilot is not anywhere near as good as the subsequent episodes in a show.
Yeah.
You just have to do a lot of setup, even if they're standalones, like getting the series under. Yeah, totally. Sea legs.
Yeah. So that's why I feel like when I read the second book, I just know I haven't read the second book yet in this trilogy. I have a feeling I'm going to like it more just because like this was the first book. It established the world of Santa Monica, like who these people are, kind of the level of drama. Now that I know, I feel like I just have a feeling I'm going to like the second book in the series more.
Which characters are in there? Are there ones? I'm going to look really quick. Are they ones that
Yeah.
we saw in book one?
Yes.
Oh, it's the brother, the half brother.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah.
His half brother. That could be really good.
Yeah, and that's another thing that was just is very interesting that I'm like looking forward to, because it's like a secret family. Her dad had a secret, well, not a secret family, but he left for another family, and that's fascinating. And so I'm like excited to kind of explore the aftermath of the realization of that.
Yes. I'm with you. Let's both read book two. I'm on
Okay.
board.
Yes. Well, oh my God, Jeannie, this was so much fun. Thank you so much for being a guest. I am so glad and so happy that I was able to get you on. This was so fun.
Becky, no, you are one of my favorite people. Just hearing your name or seeing your face makes me happy. And thank
Aw.
you for having me. And if you have me back, we'll talk far less about me, far more about our wonderful writer. Dr. Blake, thank you for this book. We will
Yes.
revisit the series and hopefully be falling in love along with your wonderful people.
Oh my God, I think that's such a great way to end.
Thank you, Becky. This was amazing.
Too Stupid to Live is part of the Frolic Podcast Network. For more podcasts you'll love, visit frolic.media/podcasts. Thank you so much for listening, and have a great rest of your day.